Yeah, I think when everything happened, you're trying to process it all. I talked to my father, like, what does this represent? My dad's 68, 69 years old. He's seen so much, right? He grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. He's marched, he's been bit by a dog. He's not one that's necessarily going to stand on a soapbox, but he's seen a lot. But the crazy thing is, he's seen a lot, but he saw a lot at 12, 14, 15 years old. He's still
Mhm.
seeing a lot at 68, 69 years old. That's scary.
Right.
Furthermore, my brother-in-law is a mayor in Mississippi. He's been through a lot on that journey.
Yeah.
And I think as I talk to my friends, whether it's people in my community or those same gentlemen you just mentioned, Kamani and Kyle, I thought the big thing that Kyle said to me was like, there's this guilt because you're like, what are you doing? What am I really doing in my space that I operate on? And the business of basketball, beautiful. I got to live a great life. I'm spoiled. I will be the first to admit it. But I will say we have an amazing social currency to impact people, to get a message out, to do all these great things if you choose to do it. Luckily for me, we could instigate that conversation together. So, we started to say to each other, what can we do? Because the biggest motivator for me was, I have a 3-year-old son. My wife is Dominican. He's going to grow up as a black man in all reality, but I don't want him to come to me at 16, 17, 18 years old and say, what did you do during this time? And I said, well, nothing. And he looks at it and I got pictures and I'm saying, I could lead these young men and I can impact these kids' lives, but I did nothing in this moment. That wouldn't be right.
Mhm.
So we started talking. We started building ideas. We brought 21, assistant coaches that in reality, the one thing I will tell you is we in our business are taught really not to mess with each other, right? It's compete, compete for the kids, compete for wins. You get on a call and there's 21 guys looking at you. You're talking, you're laughing, you're sharing stories. Guys were almost crying. And all of a sudden you start to realize, man, we could really do something big because everybody's committed to locking arms together and going on this journey. And when you talk about that journey, the biggest thing that we talked about was action. We wanted to create action in our communities, in our programs, with our players. And I think really what it was, all of a sudden you see kids standing up and saying things and articulating themselves and showing that they could be leaders. And you're like, wow. So we had to do something, right? Because we go into their homes and I've said it a ton. I'm looking right now. Luis Guzman is someone super close to my heart. He's on here, but like when he was coming up in the business, right, and he was a player, we would go and talk to his mom, and we'd say we make him a better man, a better player, and a better student. Well, we're saying the same thing right now to these
Right.
kids that we have in our program. So if we didn't do anything as assistant coaches, we're not holding up our end of the bargain. Because for me, Bruiser Flint, when I became a basketball coach, when I was getting ready to propose, when I was getting my clothes to be an assistant coach, well, I just did what Bruiser did because that's what I saw. So it's important that we do these things right now because they're going to follow our lead later on in life. So I
Mhm.
think what we've decided to do is stand on our own ground, be our own men, have our own voice. The head coaches supported us. The ADs supported us. I think the kids have been super excited. And when we rolled out there, we didn't know how it was going to be received. But by the end of the day, we're looking at the bottom line of ESPN. We're looking at CBS. We're looking at all these different people in the business that really, in reality, they just say, hey, you're doing the right thing to represent your community as Black men. And we have 3 great initiatives. The first is voting awareness, which I think everybody's doing. But we are sensitive learning, you know, how to vote, right, in the presidential election. It's about local voting and how that impacts the communities that we all live in. Voting for a mayor is going to change the shape of a community completely. That's something that we have to educate our kids about. We have a really aggressive campaign that we're going to launch to create a scholarship foundation that we believe is going to, in the end of the day, be an endowed scholarship that I think again, it's going to impact people's lives. That's where it starts. It starts education. Our players are given this great opportunity to get a free education at some of the best schools in the country, right? When you think about the 11 Big East institutions, well, we want to give people an opportunity to experience that some kids that might not have, but they're just as talented mentally. They may not have the athletic skills, but they have the mental skills to do it, and they can impact the world, times 10 of what we're doing. And then the last thing is the Black Lives Matter patch that we've been, working tirelessly on to partner with the Big East to get that on our uniforms that we believe, it's innovative, will be the first league to ever do it. I think it's a strong statement, but it's a statement that's important for our players. I think it's 90% of our players, when you take out walk-ons, are minorities. In addition, our coaches and the communities that we represent, that's something that's going to make people proud, and it's going to help heal people. So we've been excited. We get on a call every night at 8 o'clock on Sundays. And again, we're just trying to take our little corner of the world and impact it and as best we can. But we really want to amplify our message because we have an amazing platform.